Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/relationships, where we have yet another example of why you should never let your significant other have a guy best friend. Let's begin. My girlfriend in an LDR spends most of her time talking and gaming with her male best friend, and I feel that it has affected the time we spend together, making me sad and lonely.
Weakness of any kind completely revolts me.
Posted by Reddit user Aquanumber1.
My girlfriend and I have been dating for about 7 months now. We met on a dating app and became exclusive after 1.5 months. I moved to the US in August for a college exchange program and she stayed back in Asia. At the start it was going fairly well. We would video call and text each other at a healthy frequency, which really helped me settle into my new environment and helped her cope with loneliness. However, after a few weeks she began to spend more time with her male gaming buddy than me. She met this guy in a game months before meeting me and they get along really well to the point of calling him her best friend. It had gotten to the point where I would text and ask to call, but she would tell me to wait as she was gaming and would only call after she was done. The problem is, by then it would be 3 to 4 a.m. and she would be too tired for us to even chat properly. The 12-hour time zone difference isn't helping either. They would always call each other in a private message on Discord, and while I was okay with it at first, the frequency of it happening was really making me feel like he was her priority instead of me. I'd like to point out the fact that I myself am a gamer and I have played together with her bunch of gaming buddies on a few occasions, including her best friend, and we get along fairly well. I have no issue with her having male friends and spending time with them, but not at the expense of our own time as a couple. I also can't join them even if I wanted to, as I only have access to my MacBook for school work, which cannot run the games that they play. Our call frequency has really declined over the last few months and our texts are starting to feel dry. She claims she doesn't like calling me as it just makes her feel worse and lonelier as I'm too far away and she cannot physically touch me, and that this isn't her idea of quality time. Recently we started playing Minecraft, as it was one of the games available on macOS, and she asked if it was okay if her best friend joins in, and I was okay with it.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
I can't play all the time due to my schedule conflicting with her time zones, so he would play with her instead. Just the other day I hopped on and heard her laughing and having fun with him in the game, which she rarely does with me anymore. This made me really sad and I tried bringing it up to her. This has been going on for a few months and I have brought up the issue with her multiple times now, but each time I try to figure out the solution, it ends up being really unproductive. She says she wants to be alone sometimes or spend time with her friends sometimes, which I fully understand, but it just feels to me like I'm not a priority to her anymore. She also says that she doesn't view any of her male friends romantically. She is pretty bad at communicating, so usually I have to be the one to take the lead and try to carve out a path for our discussions. I'm fine with that because I understand the importance of communicating. However, all our discussions are really going nowhere. Still, she is worried that she cannot meet my needs and is scared that I would eventually leave her. Sometimes I'm too afraid to share my thoughts and feelings, as I do not want to be the kind of boyfriend who would control what she does. All I want is to spend more time with her through the means we have available in this LDR. I really love her and I do not see breaking up as an option, as I want to do whatever it takes to make the both of us happy. What should I do?
Did you try working the shaft?
Classy.
Good work now.
TLDR. Girlfriend in LDR spends more time talking and gaming with her male best friend, and I feel like this has caused us to spend less time video calling and texting each other. I don't want to break up because I love her very much and want to make the both of us happy, but I don't know what to do.
Well, OP, if you are unwilling to break up, then have fun getting cheated on again and again. I mean, how many red flags do you even need before you realize that she is already having at least an emotional affair with this guy? Where is your self-respect, man? Come on. And now for today's second story. I left behind a dead man's switch in the company workflow when I sensed I was about to be bullied into quitting. Posted by Reddit user The2B.
First of all, the story is a bit older, but I will keep stuff rather ambiguous at times just for my own safety. I don't know how much my company can find out. I hope I can put it into words so everyone understands, especially as English is not my first language. Also, there will be a TLDR at the bottom. Also, there are some Google translations in this, so please be merciful. So, let's get started. I started working in logistics at a company that builds things. That was just as COVID was starting actually. When I started, we were 5 people in the team, but one of the guys quit soon after. This is important because it was a very good insight into how my department operates when they don't need or want a certain someone around. They will not outright fire you, since then they have to pay you severance. But instead, they will bully you into quitting. I saw pretty much the whole package, excluding them from meetings and important events, putting them down in public, lecturing them, never noticing good work done, but always making sure everyone knows about work that is poorly done, drowning someone in work and then berating them when they inevitably can't keep up. It was outright childish at times. I didn't register it at the time, but it was a really valuable lesson for later. I was put in charge of managing our overseas suppliers, among other things. About half of our material came from overseas, most of that from China. While it seems like a big task for someone new, it wasn't done out of malice. Genuinely, everyone believed we were going to get a guy in China for the Chinese supplies, then I'd be left for the handful of others. It seemed fair, but we never got that guy for China, and I was left with all overseas suppliers. Another important thing is that just for this project, the company had decided to change the workflow for overseas suppliers. This is because due to COVID, the price of shipping containers had exploded. To explain it as simply as possible, previously the suppliers were responsible for filling our containers and bringing them to the harbor. We were responsible for picking them up from the harbor and bringing them to us. However, due to demands and many other things, sometimes we just needed 2 or 3 pallets of parts where a dozen or more could fit inside a container. So, we were shipping a lot of air. The new workflow would have the suppliers bring the parts to an external warehouse, one in the US and one in China. Then we would load them into containers to get the containers as full as possible, and then bring them to the harbor and then into our plant. This way we needed to rent far fewer containers. This complicated things because it erased the direct contact from us to the suppliers. And there was no official method how we were going to keep in contact with suppliers, tell them how many parts we need, how to package them, if there were any changes requested, etc. During that time, I was left mostly alone to deal with it, and I set up a system with Excel. It was mostly manual, rather simple, but it worked well. It worked so well that one of the suits even chatted with me about it for a bit since he wanted to make it a standard in future projects. And also, this is very important, I was the only person who actually knew all our overseas suppliers and their contacts. Some of you might be able to tell where this story is going already. So during that entire time, nobody had actually bothered to ask me to explain to them how my system worked and where I kept track of all the supplier contacts. All of this data was hidden on like slide 800 of some Excel file I had saved in a folder titled Part Pictures, which was otherwise filled with pictures of parts. Now moving forward. As COVID began dying down, the department for whatever reason decided they don't need me anymore. I have theories, but nothing certain, so I will just leave it at that. I pretty much saw precisely the same thing go down as I had seen with that one guy who had left shortly after I started. All the bullying. I thought to myself at first that if I pull through and keep doing a good job, and I believe I did a good job, they will eventually cool down. But they didn't. After 2 months of that, I said fuck it, and decided to just sit out and endure until the Christmas bonus we get every year and then hand in my notice. And also, I just delayed teaching anyone how my system worked until I was gone. And that is pretty much how it happened. Off topic. For my own future employment, I actually lucked out. One of the local suppliers I was managing had a really chill guy as managing director. I gave him a call, explained I was about to be unemployed, asked if they needed staff. He then called me into an interview. We talked about anime for an hour while his HR lady looked confused about what an Attack on Titan was, and he told me I can come in the moment I am done with my then current job. Back on topic, a month into working at my new job, I got a call from my old job. The department manager. To his credit, he was always a reasonable guy. He told me in plain words that they have no idea where the fuck to even start with the Chinese suppliers. He then offered me my old job back with a very respectable pay increase. I explained that I already had a new job. 2 days later, I got another call where the same manager offered me many times my monthly salary just to come in for 1 week and instruct my old team on how my process functioned, introduce them to all the contacts, etc. I told him I refused because of the way I had been treated by them when I worked there. He said that he understood and wished me luck at my new job and hung up. The reason I am writing this story now. This week I randomly got in touch with some of the people in the transport department from my old job. They mentioned that in the now 10 months since I left, the logistics department racked up 8-figure losses due to wrong deliveries, over and under deliveries, outdated parts, some suppliers canceling their contracts and new suppliers needing to be sourced, etc. And all the blame for that fell on my old team. My new job is fine. It's not the best job, but I get to travel a lot and get nice bonuses for it. My boss isn't around much since he got married. I do sometimes regret not taking that offer for a week as an instructor. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed the read. TLDR, company put me in charge of managing overseas suppliers, unintentionally making me the only guy who knew the suppliers and knew the system I had created to exchange data with them. When my company started bullying me into quitting, I avoided instructing anyone from my team on how my system worked, leading to them asking me to come back after I quit, and then racking up 8-figure losses after I refused to come back.
I honestly sometimes don't know how the big wigs, who have no idea how the day is done, randomly decides to remove the one guy who know what's going on, and then they are shocked that things go badly. What a bunch of fucking idiots, honestly. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.